What's going on, everybody? So, today I offer you a choice to vote upon the game that I play and record bits and pieces and highlights for the gamelog next. Basically, you got two choices. One way or another, I'm going to end up playing both. It's just a case of I want you guys to influence which one I do first. Both are games that I have played before but have never beaten. Both are games from my childhood. Both are games based on movies, which is kind of a coincidence that I didn't intend to have happen, but has happened nonetheless. Either way, let me show you what your choices are. So option number one, you have got The Matrix Path of Neo. This is a third-person beat-em-up that I believe is actually a decently long game that takes place over the course of all three Matrix films, where you take Neo, or Mr. I believe Thomas Anderson, from being just a normal, regular person to being the biggest badass that ever lived. I recall playing this game a lot as a kid because I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, that it covered pretty much every form of fighting that you could possibly have, whether it be grappling, throwing people around, martial arts, sword fighting, shooting, wall running, all that sort of thing. And I just remember it being so cool, the development of the game, where, for example, at the start of the game, Neo, if he encounters an agent, is done for. Not a chance. You can't win. You have to run. Just like in the film. Pretty accurate, to be fair. And then as the game goes on, as Neo powers up, as he gets more skills, you're then able to actually start taking on agents, maybe one at a time, and then maybe three at a time. And then towards the end of the game, if you've all seen the films, you know how that plays out. You know how it gets pretty cool. So, Matrix Path of Neo is option number one. Option number two is 007 Quantum of Solace. Again, another game from my childhood, another game based on a film. I say childhood, how old would I have been? I probably wasn't actually that young. I was probably like 13. This says 2008. In 2008 I would have been 10. So yeah, kind of a kid, I suppose. I recall it being both a first and a third person shooter, depending on whether you were in cover or not, because they really wanted to get Daniel Craig's likeness in there in some form or fashion. Here you go. Blending first person shooting and third person action, Quantum of Solace puts you in control of Bond's greatest weapon, his mind. Enter the ruthless world of international espionage through the single player story, or test your secret agent skills across the globe. Nobody cares about that. And to be fair, if the multiplayer of this game is still alive in 2024, I'll eat me hat. I don't wear hats. Become the new Bond. Use your MI6 training in high-octane combat, explosive shootouts, and stealth close quarter actions. There shall be no stealth. You guys will come to learn, if you don't know the rules, get to know the rules, that I am not very good at stealth in anything ever, and it is for the most part why you probably are not likely to see me playing a Metal Gear Solid game outside of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, or maybe 5, and for the same reason that I've never really gotten along well with the Splinter Cell games either. Any game that has got forced stealth, where you fail the mission if you get caught, has never been something I've particularly enjoyed. I like Dishonored, because you've got ways of going about things, and if things go up in the air, you're able to sort things out of your own accord without failing the mission. But stealth was never my thing. Either way, I recall playing the hell out of this as a kid, and I'm pretty sure that its engine is based entirely around the Call of Duty 4 engine, because for example, on the back of it, I see the name Treyarch, which we should all know, and obviously, of course, also Activision. So, both of these games are valid choices. Both of them are going to get played at some point for the gamelog. It's just a case of which one do you want to see me do first? Comment down below, and if you guys haven't already, do be sure to subscribe. Based on my analytics, about half of the people that see these videos are not subscribed, so if you could fix that, that'd be wonderful. We'd be gaining hundreds of subscribers a video. If you're wondering about how I'm going to do the playthrough in terms of creating content around it, it isn't going to be a Let's Play or a walkthrough or anything like that. It's going to be probably 1 to 2 minute clips strung together throughout the playthrough, similarly to how I would have done it on TikTok, interspersed with moments like this of me talking to the camera and me talking about the game, talking over the game. You'll see when I do it. I hope it works, because at the end of the day, I need that sort of content to also get views versus just the game collection content, because obviously I can't just keep buying games forever and making videos on those. I also need to be able to make videos about the games. I'm not just a collector, I am a player. I have something called the gamelog. You guys may not be familiar with it because you're all pretty new here, but anybody that's come across from TikTok will know what I mean when I say the gamelog. The gamelog is a spreadsheet that I have created about 5 years ago that I use to track the games that I play. The way I do things is I will only ever play one game at a time, and I will always play it until the game's credits have rolled. I don't remember the last time I played a game that I just put down. I don't know, there's something in my head that doesn't work that way, and I like keeping track of the games that I've beaten in this fashion. And through this gamelog, I'm able to take a look at what I was doing in previous months and weeks and years, and what I was playing at the time. And something else that I tend to do is I tend to play entire franchises in one go. So for example, in I think January of this year, I decided to dedicate some time to playing through all of the Far Cry games, starting at 1, finishing at, is it 6? Is it 7? Whatever the latest Far Cry game was, that was the last one I played, and also inclusive of some of the random spin-off ones that started right at the very beginning, Primal and also Blood Dragon, because obviously that's also some good fun. And I will play them back to back. It doesn't matter how long a franchise is, I will almost always play it back to back. It's just sort of the way my brain does things, and it's enjoyable to me because I like being able to look back at what I was doing in certain times. I made a video the other day at the start of June, going through like games that I've played in June from like 2019 to 20, 21, 22, 23, and now obviously 24. This year, I've genuinely not been playing as many games as I would have wanted to because there's just been other focuses like growing the YouTube channel and collecting games rather than just playing games. But I do want to get back to playing more games like I normally would. Like most days in a normal week when I'm playing games normally, I will play for like 8 to 12 hours a day, and because of that I tend to get through games decently quickly. Because especially when you play old games like this, like I'm willing to bet this is a 4 to 6 hour game because that's just how gaming was back then. Before game companies felt the need to make you never move on from a game through infinite content, through live services, through microtransactions and battle passes, games used to be pretty short and sweet, and then you moved on to the next one. You would buy a game based on the merit of its developer and the quality of the reviews once the game was out, rather than just buying like a couple of games a year and them never ever letting you go. So because of that, I can pretty much beat most games in a couple of days max. Like, I did all of the Assassin's Creed games a couple of times over the last 5 years. I think 3 times in 5 years I've played through every Assassin's Creed game one after another. And I think the last time I did it, I did all of them in 12 days. That was Assassin's Creed 1 through Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That was obviously many, many hours spent over the course of those weeks, and it was a big stressful one, and it did burn me out for a bit, but it gets done because that's just sort of the way that I am, you know. And due to the way that I play these games, in that most games will take me maybe a day or 2 max, I also think that it would be wise of me to do my playthroughs in a style that Jolt's Dude does his. I don't know if you guys have watched Jolt's Dude on YouTube. He's a guy that plays through Borderlands constantly, just on repeat, but with different like motivations behind the way that he plays his characters. Either way, the way that he uploads those playthroughs is he'll get highlights into like a 16 to 20 minute long video. He'll post those each day. So rather than it being Let's Play Borderlands 2 Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, etc., it'll be Borderlands 2 Krieg Road to OP10 Day 1, and it'll be Day 1's worth of highlights. And I'm thinking that's the way that I'm going to do mine, to do it differently, because at the end of the day I don't think traditional Let's Plays and walkthroughs work on YouTube anymore, not unless you're already one of the big guys that's been doing them for a decade, Rad Brad Hollow, or the way that I used to watch them through guys like SSOH, PKC, and Necroscope86. I used to watch their videos endlessly. So I'm thinking that the way I'll do it is that I'll do, so for example, the title for the video, should I choose Quantum of Solace, would be like The Gamelog, 007 Quantum of Solace Day 1, something like that. Just so that people can keep up to date, and then you guys can expect a video like that every day. I also really want to get back to posting at least twice per day, because I enjoy posting lots of videos. It's sort of, it scratches an itch in my brain for some reason. I don't know why that itch is there, but it is. Because with this sort of thing, is provided the videos are good enough, the more videos you post, the more return there is. To be real with you, the more videos I post, the more money I make, the more subscribers and views that I get, the more happy you guys, the more comments, the more itches are scratched in the brain. So I want to post more videos. But obviously I can't post multiple videos a day of me going and collecting games, especially when at the end of the day I'm spending a hell of a lot more on games that I'm buying than I am videos that I'm making. So doing the gamelog series on YouTube, where I do the highlights of the games that I'm playing and upload those every day, is a good way for me to increase my content output. Like, I would love to, at some point, somehow, I'm not sure, but somehow get to 3 videos a day, where perhaps one goes up at 12, one goes up at like 5, and another one goes up at like 9. Like, I'd love to have like a set schedule of things. Like, for the last week or so, my videos have been going live between 5 and 7, and they've been performing pretty well. And that's been my consistency. When I was doing Another Crab's Treasure, that long playthrough that took like 18 parts, that was like 12, 4, and 9 that I uploaded those videos. When I was growing on TikTok, I'd upload at 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 when I'd upload 5 times a day. I've always had a schedule that I stick to, and having that schedule helps me work more efficiently and not be just guessing and twiddling my thumbs as to what I'm going to do next, you know? So I'd like to get to the point where I'm uploading multiple times a day at set times every day with set things that you can expect at set times, and everybody's happy that way, and itches in my head get scratched. And you know what? It's been a long time now. It's been months. It's been like 4 months since I've played through a franchise of games in a row. Typically, I'll spend most of every year playing through a franchise. It's rare that I'll do like standalone games like either of these two, where it's just one game and then move on to another game. Because I really enjoy having that sort of journey ahead of me when I started, say, Far Cry, knowing that, God, I've got like 8 of these to get through. It's sort of satisfying to me. I don't know why, again, just is my brain being my brain. And I do miss playing through entire franchises, so I'm thinking that maybe the next franchise that I go through, because it's been, I think, 4 years since I last played them, maybe 5, checking out the gamelog, is Saints Row. I've got a real itch for Saints Row at the minute, because I enjoy those games. So I do 1, 2, 3, and 4, just one after another, because that's the way we do things. But for now, like I said before, I want you guys to comment down below, Matrix Path of Neo, or 007 Quantum of Solace. Take your pick, comment down below which one you'd rather see.